Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm thrilled to see you all again, even if it's through the camera. Well, I'm really loving this book club. I'm loving the feedback. I'm just loving how all of you are just getting so into this. You know, this is such important information. I just did a 2-hour interview this afternoon where I've been talking about these concepts in another environment, and we were just talking about how important it is to understand the mind. You know, how the mind's doing everything. We need to make sure that we're looking after the mind that is doing all this mind work. So those are the tools that I'm hoping that you are learning to use now. Send us photos, send us pictures. Don't forget to listen to the podcast each week that goes with the week's chapters. Don't forget to read the blog. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast channel. Leave reviews on both. And don't forget as well that you to join our email list so that you can get the weekly blog where I add more information. And don't worry if you've missed anything and you're only jumping on now. Everything is recorded, so you can go back in your own time and watch these if you've missed any or if you've missed the first month. And everything is all building on each other, and I am so excited about doing this with you. Okay, so today we are studying chapters 3 and chapters 4 from Think, Learn, Succeed, my book Think, Learn, Succeed, my most recent book. We're doing it over 2 months. You will get information in the show notes. Don't forget about that. And let's begin. So what we're doing is we're learning about the mindset. So chapter 3 is talking about the controlled thinking mindset. Last week we spoke about the thinker mindset. And remember, a mindset is a state of mind. It's an attitude. It contains information and emotions. There are 15 mindsets, and these mindsets are how we view life. They are our perspective. They are what we are renewing our mind to. They are naturally wired into our optimism bias. So what we're doing as you're learning about these mindsets, you are learning how to activate the power of your mind. Remember, the format of each chapter is there's a bit of information and then there's the activation tips. So I'm just going to start by reading a couple of things from page 54, chapter 3, the controlled thinking mindset. How many could have, would have, or should have statements have you uttered today? How many if onlys? How many times have you replayed a bad conversation or situation in your head, thinking about how it could have gone differently? How many times have you thought of what may happen in the future, worrying about something you cannot control? How much time do you spend speculating? Do thoughts just run through your brain and then you feel like you cannot control them? Are you honest with yourself? Or do you run from your thoughts and feelings? Do you go through the motions of the day, not really committed to a goal, saying one thing but meaning another? Is your thinking distorted? Have you formed a personal identity around a problem or disease that you're facing? Do you speak about my arthritis, my multiple sclerosis, or my heart problem? Do you ever make comments like, nothing ever goes right for me? Everything I touch fails, or I always mess up? Does your mind often feel foggy? Do you battle with remembering things? Do you battle to learn? This is the controlled thinking mindset. We are not designed to let thoughts run rampant through our mind. If you have answered yes, I say on the next page, page 55, if you have answered yes to any of these questions, you are being human in a world full of challenges. We all do this. So it's not just a few of us. You don't have to feel guilty. Guilt and condemnation will keep you caught up. We all do this. You are being human. It's part of the human condition. But you have a choice. You can either stay doing this or you can change this. You don't have to have a chaotic mind, because a chaotic mind means a chaotic brain. It means that you're going to have neurochemical chaos in your brain. It means that you are affecting the genetic expression of all 75 to 100 trillion cells of your brain and your body. You know, think about that for a moment. Do you want that in your life? I know I don't. Okay, so we all face challenges. I'm still reading on page 55, and we all need, and here's the key of this chapter, we all need to learn how to consciously control our thought life every moment of every day to cope and not break. So we have to learn, and that's what I'm teaching you in this book and in all my materials and in my great Switch app that I am super excited about, that is coming up really soon. Just keep in our email loop. Make sure you're following us on social media so that you can jump on and be the first to get that. You can pre-order at the moment. There's an amazing special on the Switch app for pre-ordering, and that is like you can go to the gym, you can plug that in, put your headphones in, and you can be doing consciously controlling your thoughts, getting all these things that I'm teaching you, pulling it together in that Switch app. Once again, don't forget, you need this book. You need your own copy. Don't give it away. Keep it next to your bed. My books are textbooks for life. People are dying 15 to 25 years younger from preventable lifestyle diseases. And those preventable lifestyle diseases are driven by how we are managing our mind. I am teaching you how to understand your mind so that you don't become one of those statistics. All my materials are helping you with your mental health. Mental health is not on the rise. It's the mismanagement of mental health that is on the rise that's killing people. Don't be one of those statistics. Get a hold of how to manage your mind and understanding the controlled thinking mindset that we're talking about right now is vital in that process. Okay, so mind, still reading from page 55. I'm just going to pick up on a few things like I normally do. Mind-body research increasingly points, if not the best way of detoxing your brain and your body. Okay, so controlling your thoughts mindset it's a mindset. It's a choice that you make. Your mindsets are choices that you make about how you are going to flavor your day. You wake up in the morning and you put on that thinker mindset that we spoke about last week, which means you're going to think during the course of the day. You're going to take those breaks. You're going to process information. You wake up in the morning and now you add your controlled mindset. You're not going to go through the day letting the if-onlys and the could'ves and the should'ves and the chaotic thoughts and the intrusive thoughts. You are going to deliberately and intentionally self-regulate your thought life. Okay? So let us look at something many of us experience with age. And then I'll go on to explain about Dr. Sano, who's done research on back pain and how he's found in his research, and many other researchers as well in this line and in the mental health field have found, and the medical world have found, that your thinking influences your thought life. Just today, I was doing an interview with some people, and we're going to put that interview up. And one of the people was saying that they actually got vocal nodules, which are little bumps on their vocal cords, from basically being anxious. So how the mind influenced the physical body. Everything that you're thinking, if, for example, if you're not controlling your mindsets, if you're not doing this controlled mindset thing, you are generating toxic energy through your brain. And you are, wherever there's any kind of weakness or any part of your body, it's different for anyone. There's no formula. I can't say to you, if you say if only all day long, you're going to get nodules on your vocal cords or you're going to get this. No one can say that. And if anyone tries to, ignore them. But what you will find is some physical reaction, because your thinking is generating energy, and if it's toxic, it's damaging the brain and it's influencing how your genes are expressing every moment of every day. And your genes are in your cells, and you have 75 to 100 trillion cells. We are designed to control our thoughts every 10 seconds. That means we are constantly supposed to be aware of what we are thinking about and the impact of our thoughts on others. Okay, so now, consciously, one last thing I want to read on this page 55. Consciously controlling your thought life means that you do not allow thoughts to rampage through your mind. Instead, you learn to engage interactively with each thought, taking control over and learning to enjoy the moment that you are in. You need to deliberately and intentionally choose to interact and engage with the thoughts that you have. And if it's a toxic thought, kill it. Get rid of it. If it's a toxic habit, it's not going to go immediately. You're going to have to go and do the whole 21-day detox. That's why I had the Switch app, and you're going to eliminate that over a period of 63 days. Remember, for your mental health, you have to detox every day for around 5 to 17 minutes. And I explain that in my book, Switch on Your Brain. I explain that and talk about that in all my books. But the actual technique for that is in my book, Switch on Your Brain. And the Switch app that's coming out super soon, so pre-order that. Okay, so we have to interactively engage with our thoughts. So, for example, if you find yourself sitting and getting frustrated with something that someone has done, and yes, maybe they did something wrong. Maybe you were in the right and they were in the wrong. Maybe they were really irritating. Maybe they did something, whatever, and you are totally frustrated and you find yourself mulling over that over and over and over and over that. Well, it's creating chaos in your minds. Capture that thought. Engage interactively. It is toxic. It's damaging your brain. Do you want that? Why have you got that thought? Control it deliberately and make a decision. I don't want that. I'm not going to give it energy by thinking about it. When you think about something and you think about these toxic thoughts and they rampage through your mind, not only are you giving it energy, but you are also growing it by giving it energy, and you're also upsetting yourself and making your body sick and causing neurochemical chaos in your brain. So why do it? We have to stop that. Okay, so the bottom of page 55, toxic thoughts come in many guises. On the surface, a thought like, and I wanted to stress this because a thought like, I must do well, I must finish in the next 30 minutes, may seem like a good goal, but is it such a good goal? It may be putting undue pressure on yourself. Engage with that thought. Is it realistic to try and finish something in the next 30 minutes? Is it good? Is it good? Is it valuable? Well, if it is, and it's really something you need to do, and it's a good goal, it has a good purpose. It's something you have to finish for work or for school or something that you have to get done, then you do it. But if it's something that could maybe take an hour, or it could maybe take a couple of days, it could take a little longer, you can decide, well, then maybe you should relook at that concept again. Okay, so when you look at these kind of thoughts closely and analyze the feelings that they generate. So don't just, when I say engage interactively with thoughts, what feelings are they generating? Are you feeling anxious? Is it making you feel worked up and your body's starting to feel like your heart rate's increasing and you're going into the toxic stress response? Is your body giving you alarms and warning you that something's not right in this thought? Then engage with it and decide, okay, how am I going to manage this thought? Should I have this thought? Okay, demanding unrealistic performance from yourself, and I'm turning over the page to page 56, and others as well. For instance, put your mind and body into a toxic stress mode. And this type of pressure can lead to haphazard, distracted thinking. We've all suffered from that, where we're putting undue pressure on ourselves, and it leads to this haphazard, chaotic, toxic thinking. Okay, so if you don't train yourself to control your thoughts, you may end up thinking more toxic thoughts and generating more toxic emotions. Wow. Okay, so if you don't control it, you increase the toxic load in your brain and your body, and you increase the mental fogginess, and you increase the lack of wisdom, and you increase the frustration, and you decrease your peace, and all those things. Okay, it's going down now to the middle of page 56. To control your thought life, you have to activate and continually make use of the quantum principle of superposition. Then I go on to explain over the next few pages what that principle is. So just briefly, I want to explain this to you. Superposition is a super concept. It means that you go into a state before you actually make a decision. You bring that thought into captivity. You consciously, deliberately stand back, observe your own thinking, feeling and choosing, and decide, do I want another could have? Is this if only should have thought going to help me? Is being frustrated with what's just been said to me worth pursuing? Am I putting an unrealistic demand? So before you dive in and continue to be irritated or continue with that unrealistic demand you've placed on yourself, before you do all of that, maybe you should you gather it up and you basically go into a state where you analyze. Superposition in quantum physics is where particles are in a state of 1 and 0 at the same time. So they haven't yet collapsed. It's a wave. It's like a wave that's building. So think of a wave in the sea. It builds, builds, builds. And just before it collapses, there's a state where it almost like freezes. And that's what I'm talking about when it comes to superposition. You go into that state where you gather that incoming information, the upcoming thoughts, and before you make a decision, before you collapse the wave, before the 1 and the 0 collapses either in the 1 direction or the 0 direction from your choice, before you make that choice, analyze, reflect upon, engage. Is this good thinking? This is controlled thinking. This is a disciplined thought life. Without this, we are going to have very unhappy lives. We're going to feel anxious. We're going to feel depressed. Those are symptoms of toxic, chaotic thinking. Toxic, chaotic, uncontrolled thinking is one of the main reasons people suffer mental health issues. Yes, also from trauma. Yes, also from toxic habits, and and also basically from toxic and chaotic thinking. Okay, so now let's jump over to page 57, and I talk in the middle, and I had the paragraph starts with mindfulness. We need to become more aware. We need to, in self-regulation, when I talk about self-regulating, when I talk about going into superposition, when I talk about controlling thoughts, I am talking about being mindful. And mindful is becoming aware of yourself, aware of your thoughts, aware of your physical reactions in your body, being aware of the now moment. But you can't stop there. You have to go beyond mindfulness. You have to go into the stages where you're actually going to make a positive decision about that information. It's not enough just to be aware. What are you going to do about what you are aware of? If you know it's toxic, don't do it. If you know it's a toxic thought and it's a toxic habit, detox it. Whatever. So if you know it's going to upset you, make a plan to not let it upset you, and not absorb that into your body and your mind and your spirit and your brain, and rather change it and reconceptualize it, redesign it. Okay, so page 57, third paragraph from the bottom, I say, a controlled thinking mindset helps you to intentionally shift your focus. Okay, controlled thinking, let me say that again. A controlled thinking mindset helps you to intentionally shift your focus. I love that. You intentionally do that. You talk to yourself out loud can help you control thinking. Talk in the second paragraph, never let thoughts just wander through your mind. Okay? So now the thinker mindset that I have already discussed, where I say to you, take moments in your day where you let thoughts wander through your mind. This is not a contradiction. Let me explain the difference. And I do explain this on page 58 in the third paragraph. As discussed in chapter 2, daydreaming and mind wandering can be good for you. These moments only become a problem when they are chaotic and unmanaged. So controlled thinking applies to chaotic, unmanaged thoughts. Okay, so not the organized ones, because chaos stops you benefiting from and enjoying your thoughts. So chaos stops you from enjoying your thoughts. You need to daydream. You need to have moments of mind wandering, as I mentioned last week. But when they go chaotic, that's what you have to control. So even in your mind wandering state, if the thoughts are rampaging through chaotically and making you feel uncomfortable, you need to interact with them in your daydreaming state, which is the thinker mindset we spoke about last week. Okay, and that is in chapter 2. Okay, so then I have some activation tips. And I want to, before I get to them on page 59, I want to just read a quote by Leonardo da Vinci, who purportedly said, "An average human looks without seeing, listens without hearing, touches without feeling, eats without tasting, moves without physical awareness, inhales without awareness of odor or fragrance, and talks without thinking." So we need to learn to savor and enjoy the pleasure of the now moment. And we can't if our thoughts are chaotic and toxic. It's one of the leading causes of mental ill health. Okay, and all of us suffer from this. This is not unique to certain people. We all have chaotic thoughts to different varying degrees and different ways, and etc. So this stuff applies to all of us. It is the human condition. Okay, so a couple of tips. One of the first tips I say is what I keep on saying. Never let thoughts just wander through your mind unchecked. So in other words, be discerning about what you are letting your mind think about. If it's good stuff and you're imagining and it's positive and you feel good, go down that road. But if it's toxic and chaotic and haphazard and making you feel bad, logically, don't go down that road. Use the principles of superposition. Active tip number 4. When you consciously engage with information that is coming into your brain, think about it purposefully. Be purposeful about what you think about, because what you think about creates matter. Mind creates matter. Okay? So what matter do you want in your brain? In fact, what you put in your brain matters. The matter you build into your brain matters. Okay? Get that one. Right. And then I go over to let's go to page 60. And one of the last ones that you hear me say this so often, reconceptualize, redesign the chaotic thought. Don't let it control you. You control the toxic thought. Let's talk about chapter 4, the words mindset. We all know about the quotes, words frame your world, and I've even said things like that. No discussion of thoughts would ever be complete without their product, their fruit, which is the words, okay? Which are words, okay? So we have to examine words, which are the fruits of our thoughts. And I'm reading on page 61, the words mindset, second paragraph. The words you speak feed back into the physical thoughts you have built. The words you speak come from the physical words that you built. You can't speak without first building a thought. A thought is something you build physically into your brain with your thinking, feeling, and choosing, and it goes in your mind. So every thought has a physical structure in the brain, looking like a tree. Thoughts are real things that occupy mental real estate, and they have a non-physical structure inside the non-physical spiritual part of you. Okay, I've explained that quite a few times. You can go back and listen to previous YouTubes to dig deeper and get the books and read the books. Okay, so the words that you're speaking come from the thoughts you built. And then you hear yourself and you see the impact of your thoughts. So that feeds back into your brain and reinforces. But if we are deliberate and intentional about observing the words we're saying, we get a lot of insight into the thoughts that we're thinking. And that's one of the major things that I want to tell you about words, is that your words are going to tell you what you are thinking, okay? And you can't just take a bunch of words and take a scripture and take a positive affirmation and say it over and over and over and hope that it's going to change the thought. Yes, it's feeding back in. But what is feeding back in? You may be saying a positive affirmation or something very positive or quoting a scripture or a favorite saying or something like that, and it's feeding back into your brain, but you're using it like a magic potion because you're using it. I'm not saying you're always doing that, but I'm saying this is what can happen. If you are using it to try to numb or to try and change your belief system or the root that you're trying to change, if it's out of alignment with each other, the words alone are not going to do that. You can't just speak something away. You have to be very careful. That's called cognitive dissonance and creates chaos in your brain and your body. And it leads to tremendous guilt and condemnation and blocks. So you can't just say, okay, everything's going to be fine. Meanwhile, inside you believing this is a terrible situation. I just can't get through this. It's awful. It's not going to be fine. This relationship won't be fixed. That's what you're feeling. But then you're saying on the surface, all big and smiley, it's going to be fine. This relationship's going to work out. God's going to make it work together. All this, whatever you say. But you don't really believe that. So you're trying to use words to change beliefs. It's the other way around. You have to get your belief system changed. It's better to say, I'm working towards improving this relationship, or I'm working towards the situation improving. But it's a process and I'm going to get there little by little, rather than saying it is all fine when it's not fine. Be realistic with the words that you speak and the words, how you use your words to try and change things. Be very, very realistic about that. People use words, and there's been a lot of misinformation and misteachings in the church, and not even just in the church, in the secular world with the self-help industry, going on and on and on about saying those positive affirmations. When people talk about what to do about mental health, it's like really say your 10 positive affirmations or say your 10 scriptures and take your green smoothie as a side, as a side dish and do your exercise. And that's not enough. Yes, you got to eat healthy. Yes, you must do exercise. And yes, you need to be speaking positive stuff, but you need to be realistic about what you are speaking. You can't be believing toxic stuff and then try and cover this up with a bunch of magic words. It doesn't work like that. Okay? And then if you are toxic in your thoughts, the thoughts are toxic and you're speaking toxic and you're not attempting to control that thought using the controlled thinking mindset, and you're not observing using superposition your words and the impact of your words on yourself and others, then you're going to become more toxic. Then you're adding another layer and more energy into that toxic thinking. So the words, these chemicals will allow the negative memories to grow stronger. I'm reading on page 61. And if you continue to allow these thoughts to dominate your thinking, whatever you think about the most grows. When you constantly think about something negative and speak about it, it can become a negative toxic stronghold that controls your attitude and your life. Okay, so that's why we have to have a words mindset. In the mornings, you need to wake up and determine, like we're going to have a thinker mindset, like we're going to have a control emotions mindset, we call it controlled thoughts. We also need to have controlled words mindset. We need to be very aware of the words we're speaking, the impact that that's having on our own brain and body, how we are feeling, and also the impact on others. And also check for cognitive dissonance. Okay, page 62, I explain this in a little bit more depth. The second paragraph down, your words have to be backed up with honesty and integrity, or what in psychological terms is called cognitive congruence. Positive affirmations will only work when you believe what you say. I've done a whole podcast on positive affirmations and positive thinking and how that works. So I encourage you to subscribe to my podcast channel, follow that information, go listen to it in more depth to help you understand it. If you lie to yourself, if you use affirmations and scriptures like magic potions, you will experience cognitive dissonance, which has a real physical effect in the brain and the body. You are upsetting your genetic expression. You are causing mutated genes. You are doing all kinds of stuff that can be reversed once you are thinking healthy again. But this stuff is very real. The mind-brain connection is very real. I'm about to launch on a series of clinical trials. I've already done the first part. We are working with a team of doctors, and we are looking at the impact of thinking and controlling your thoughts and using my 5-step process that I teach in my books and in my Switch app that I've been telling you about, and the impact of that on your brain using QEEGs, using looking at blood, various different blood work, like example, your telomere stability on your DNA. So I'm doing constant ongoing research to help you to see the power of your mind and to make those changes that you know and I know you can do. Okay, so I'm going to page 63, the last paragraph. Congruent thinking, not positive words, creates the necessary changes in your brain. You can say all the positive words you want until you have congruence, until you have repurposed and redesigned the way you're saying those words to be a process as opposed to I am going to do this. It's rather I am busy at trying to move in this direction or achieve this kind of goal. Until you do that, you are going to create chaos in your brain and your body, and you're going to land up in guilt, condemnation, and feel awful, and all kinds of things that will follow. Okay, so congruent thinking, not positive words, not positive thinking, creates the necessary changes in your brain. Congruent thinking, which is speaking words that align with your thinking, being honest with yourself, and realizing things are a process and not just an end full stop. It's a process. Okay, this type of thinking, congruent thinking, which produces the healthy words, takes time and effort because you have to be aware of the words and the mindset behind the words. This awareness helps you to capture these thoughts and change them. I'm reading from page 63, the paragraph above the activation tips. You cannot fix a problem you do not even acknowledge is there after all. Okay, so our words tell us the problems. If you listen to yourself and you're very aware of your words and the impact of your words, not just what you're saying, what are your words doing to other people around you? What are you, because your words are generating energy, and if you're speaking toxic or you're speaking but seem to be positive words, but you don't really believe what they are saying, like you say to someone, oh, you look so nice, but meanwhile they don't look nice, they pick up the don't look nice. That's where the power is, not in the words. The words and what you're feeding back in your brain is a lie, a cognitive dissonance. I hope you're getting this very, very definite difference between this. You can't just go and say something and hope your saying is going to change. It's not going to. Okay, you have to get yourself. If you don't think someone looks nice, don't lie. Rather just smile and say it's so good to see you or something. If you don't like what someone has done to you and then you pretend everything's fine, I'm not telling you to be rude, but don't lie to them or to yourself because they will pick that up. Rather, maybe keep your distance or get yourself right and say something that's honest, not something that's dishonest to that person. You cannot fix a problem that you don't even acknowledge. Okay, next sentence. Success comes from the realization that we do not always measure up to our dreams. Okay, our dream might be, this is what I want to achieve, so I'm just going to speak these words to achieve them. That's never going to work. It does not work like that. You have to go through the process and enjoy it. Often we have to change our direction or acknowledge that we are evolving, but you can't see that you to change your direction or that you need to evolve if you don't get a handle on controlling thinker mindset, controlling your thoughts, watching your words, all these things I'm teaching. These things are not in all the stuff I'm teaching in these books is all building up on each other to help you to get control of your mind. Some of the activation tips on page 63. The first one is very powerful. Acknowledge. So it's page 63, words activation, words mindset activation tips. Acknowledge that an issue exists, okay, through observing the words that you are speaking and the impact they have on you and on other people and things in your life. Become intentionally mindful about that. There's more activation tips, but I'm going to end there by really emphasizing this. Acknowledge that an issue exists through observing your words. You want to see them if you have some issues, they've all got issues. So watch your words because your words will reveal the issues that you have. Also, watch the impact that they have on you. Be more aware of how you physically feel about the words that you are speaking. If you feel discomfort, if you're feeling that awareness that something's not quite right. Remember last month when we were doing the Perfect You book, I spoke about the discomfort zones. If you haven't got that book yet, get that book, catch up with us, watch the YouTube videos. I spoke about the discomfort zones. Use them in all of these mindsets to help you to tune in to your body, to help you check whether you're in the correct mindset or not. Okay, so remember, you need to be aware of the impact that the words have on you and other people. It's not just about you, it's you in the world. Guys, you're in a community, you're in the world, you're human, you need humans, you're entangled. You need to look at the impact of your words. If you are saying things in a way that people don't understand you, they're misreading you, they're miscommunicating, you're upsetting them, you need to take stock of how you are expressing yourself and how you are using your words and why you're using them in that way. Become very intentional and mindful about this. Okay, so next week I want you to read chapters 5, 6, and 7, and we will be doing the YouTube live next Friday as per usual. This week we were away, that's why wouldn't have been able to get to YouTube this Friday, so that's why I changed for this week. Don't watch these again, watch them over and over. Get the book, subscribe to the YouTube channel, get onto the blog, watch the podcast, join me. Let's get this mental health initiative spread across the globe.